India is a land of contrasts. We have on the one hand excellent scientific institutions, great intellectual capacity, a lot of data from both the ground, from the air, remote sensing data on our natural resources. In spite of all these gifts, we find that our country as a nation has the largest number of poor and undernourished people. I think this dichotomy gives us all a lot of pain, and I feel it is unnecessary. The MSSRF was started 15 years ago to try to identify methods of ending this dichotomy of enormous scientific capability and at the same time our inability to convert scientific know-how into field level do-how. So we started developing models by which this growing gulf between know-how and do-how can be bridged, and how to avoid extreme poverty and hunger, and how to realize the goal of a hunger-free India. This has been the mission of MSSRF from its beginning, and this is what the scientists, scholars, and all the staff of the institution have tried to make a contribution during the last 15 years.
Restoration and management of mangroves by the local people is today a common scene in the estuarine areas of the Coromandel coast. The 1,500 hectares of mangroves restored in 33 villages in Pichavaram and Muttupet in Tamil Nadu and Kakinada in Andhra Pradesh, stand as a testimony to the commitment and participation of the people. This has been achieved using the tools of modern science and involving local communities, government agencies and scientists. The M.S. Swaminathan Research Foundation, MSSRF, chose to work in coastal zones not only because they are the most vulnerable to climate change, but also inhabited by a large population. The effort was to link ecological security and livelihood security of fisher and farming communities in a mutually reinforcing manner.
நாங்கெல்லாம் சேர்ந்து வாய்க்கா வெட்டி நாங்களே கண்ணு நட்டு அந்த காடு வளர்ந்த பிறகு இப்போ அது நல்லா சேர்ந்து நாங்கள் கஷ்டப்பட்டதுக்கெல்லாம் பலன் இப்போ நாங்கள் அனுபவித்தோம்.
இந்த காட்டால் தான் நாங்கள் தப்பிச்சு வந்தது. மறுபடியும் பார்த்தாக்கா அப்படியே ஒரு பனைமரம் உயரமாக வந்து அப்படியே தள்ளிட்டு வந்து நாங்களும் எங்கள் தோணிலும் வந்து ஆணும் பொண்ணும் இங்கே சேர்ந்து அந்த அணை போட்டும் தொட்டு தான் அந்த காடு சாமிநாதன் ஆராய்ச்சியிலேருந்து அந்த காடு தான் எங்களுக்கு காமந்து பண்ணுது ஆச்சு. வேறு எந்த பாதும் எங்களை பாதிக்கல. காடு தான் எங்களுக்கு காமந்து பண்ணுது. அந்த காடே இல்லைனாக்கா இந்த ஊரே அழிஞ்சிருக்கும்.
The experience has led to chronicling of the current status of mangroves in Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh and Orissa using Geographical Information Systems (GIS), a useful planning tool for policymakers and mangrove environment managers. In the Gulf of Mannar, MSSRF facilitated establishment of community-based eco-friendly enterprises suited to local conditions, using land and marine resources for livelihood security and environmental regeneration.
1 கிலோ இறாலுக்கு 1 கிலோ இறாலும் அந்த கிரேவியும் சேர்த்து ஒரு ஆளுக்குரிய சம்பளம் அதுலேயே 33 ரூபாய் இருக்குது. அப்போ மாதத்தால் ஒரு ஆளுக்கு 1500க்கு மேலே இருக்கும்.
In the red soil areas of Kudangulam, a genetic garden of 120 varieties of horticultural species suitable for dryland farming, and a 1.5 kilometer long green belt using tree species demonstrate the applications of nuclear science and motivate farmers to adopt new varieties developed using nuclear tools.
வறட்சி தாங்கி வளரக்கூடிய பழமரக்கன்றுகள் மற்றும் பயிர் தாவரங்கள் எல்லாமே நல்லா இருந்து அதை இதுக்கு முன்னாலே நாங்கள் இதை பார்த்துருக்கோம். அதை பார்த்து நாங்கள் அந்த மாதிரியாட்டு இங்கே விவசாயம் பண்ணிக்கிட்டு இருக்கோம்.
Anticipatory research is a hallmark of MSSRF. With modern tools of biotechnology, research addresses agricultural problems relating to salinity and drought that are likely to emerge in the coastal areas in future. Up to now, 36 full-length genes and several partial sequences from mangroves have been isolated for abiotic stress tolerance. Tissue culture protocols have been developed for 14 rare, endangered and threatened species of mangroves. Another pathway identified for achieving the vision is in the area of biodiversity involving tribal communities. Traditional crops and varieties are cultivated and used mostly by tribal farmers. These are not only crucial locally for food security, but also essential for plant breeders who develop new varieties of crops using them. To meet the global reduction in the number of traditional crops and varieties and erosion of associated traditional knowledge of tribal and rural communities, on-site conservation is now being recognized for its prime importance. The tribal communities of the Jaipur tract in Orissa were honored with the Equator Initiative Award at the World Summit on Sustainable Development, WSSD, Johannesburg in 2002 for their contribution to the conservation and sustainable use of agrobiodiversity and reduction of poverty. The Gene Seed Grain Bank Continuum, or the on-site Village Seed and Grain Bank, backed up by Participatory Plant Breeding (PPP) and agronomic techniques like line sowing and space planting, has brought immediate tangible benefits to marginal and small farmers. So far, 25 village seed banks have been established and are being operated by communities in Orissa and Kolli Hills. These banks collect, multiply, purify and distribute seeds of traditional varieties and store surplus grain for use by the needy.
இப்படி ஒரு தொம்பை கட்டி பெருக்கம் போதாத அளவுக்கு அது நல்லா பாதுகாப்பாக நாங்கள் வச்சு ஒரு 2 வருஷத்துலேருந்து ஒரு விதை கொடுத்துக்கிட்டு நாங்கள் 5 கிலோ கொடுத்தா 10 கிலோ நாங்கள் வாங்கிட்டு இப்படி யூஸ் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கிறோங்க.
ଆମେ ସେଟା ସ୍ୱାମୀନାଥନ ଆଜ୍ଞା ମାନେ ଟ୍ରେନିଂ ଦେଲାங்க ସେଟା ସେମାନେ ଆସିକି ବୁଝାଇଲେ ଯେ ତମେ ବିହନ ପାଣ୍ଠି କର ବୋଇଲା କିନି ଆମେ ଘରକେ ଶସ୍ୟ ଧାନ 15 କେଜି ବିହନ ଧାନ 5 କେଜି ଲେଖା ଜମା କରି କରି ସେଟା ଘରେ ଏବେ ବଢ଼ି ବଢ଼ିକି ଚାଲିଛି.
These community-managed food banks showcase a living model of food security in practice. To overcome the drudgery associated with manual processing of local crops, model low-cost mills have been set up to promote local varieties rich in micronutrients which can address the issue of hidden hunger. As a forward link, off-site conservation is done by the G.T. Scaracia Community Gene Bank and Genetic Resource Center established in Chennai in 1994, which has so far collected 1,134 accessions of seeds with a prior informed consent (PIC) of communities, assuring them that they will be recognized and rewarded if these materials are used by breeders for developing new varieties. The Farmers' Rights Information Service (FRIS) database contains information about community conserved material. The Community Agro-Biodiversity Center (CABC) of MSSRF, located in Wayanad, has facilitated 4 panchayats to record information on plants and animals and their uses known to the local people in People's Biodiversity Registers (PBRs).
വിഭവ ഭൂഘടം കൊണ്ടും ജൈവ വൈവിധ്യ രജിസ്റ്റർ കൊണ്ടും ഞങ്ങൾ പ്രധാനമായിട്ട് ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത് തുടർന്ന് അങ്ങോട്ട് പഞ്ചായത്തിൻ്റെ വികസന പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾ സുതാര്യമായും നല്ല രീതിയിലും കൊണ്ടു നടക്കുക എന്നുള്ളതാണ് ഞങ്ങൾ ഇതിനെ കൊണ്ട് ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്.
The CABC has also documented medicinal plants, local land races, rare and endangered species, and wild foods and mushrooms used by tribal communities, and networked with various line departments and organizations. Again, knowledge about biodiversity found in the popular folk songs of Kolli Hills have also been documented. The foundation helped shape 2 major Indian legislations: the Protection of Plant Varieties and Farmers' Rights Act 2001 and the Biological Diversity Act 2002 to honor the national obligation to recognize and reward resource-poor tribal and rural men and women who have contributed significantly to plant genetic resources. Natural resources constitute yet another corridor for ensuring livelihood security. The J.R.D. Tata Ecotechnology Center has initiated more than 100 eco-friendly micro-enterprises for agricultural communities, promoted through Sustainable Self-Help Groups (SSHGs), spearheading a natural, resource-based, job-led economic growth strategy that links technology development and extension. Community banks strengthen alternate and multiple livelihood opportunities through an adequate blend of knowledge, skills, finance and markets.
வேட்டைக்கார நெருப்பில் வந்து நிறைய தென்னை மரம் இருக்குது. இந்த ஏரியாவில் அது கிடைக்கக்கூடிய பொருளாக இருக்குது. அதனால் அந்த பொருளை வாங்கி இந்த ஏரியாவுக்கு தகுந்த மாதிரி தொழில் செய்யணும். அந்த தேங்காயை உடச்சி பதப்படுத்துறதுக்கான இட வசதி இருக்குது. 2வது பக்கத்தில் கொப்பரையை வாங்கிறதுக்கு மில் வசதி இருக்குது. அதுக்கு மேலே அதை எண்ணெய் ஆட்டி கொடுக்கக்கூடிய இது எண்ணெய் ஆட்டக்கூடிய மில்லெல்லாம் அந்த வசதிலாம் இருக்குது. அதனால் அந்த தொழிலை செஞ்சு நாங்கள் வாழ்க்கை தரத்தில் முன்னேறலாம் அப்படிங்கிற அடிப்படையில் நாங்கள் தேங்காய் கொப்பரை போட்டிருக்கோம்.
At the micro level, The bio-village concept is aimed at efficient and sustainable use of available natural resources to achieve a continuous and steady growth of agricultural production with a human-centered approach. Livelihoods are enhanced through on-farm and non-farm employment while protecting and improving the environmental capital stock of the village. Over the last 15 years, the bio-village model has been replicated in 42 villages in the coastal region and is being extended to other centers in semi-arid and hilly regions. A crop-focused model seed village for quality seed production using scientific skills and knowledge serves as a formal link between farmers and the corporate sector. The Small Farmers Agri-Business Consortium, SFAC, was an idea developed for generating income and employment in rural areas through various types of agribusiness and has been adopted by the Government of India to help small farmers across the country. The oddanchatram.com website links producers to traders online. Export of organically produced pineapples, certified by an international certification agency, has enabled resource-poor farmers of the Kolli Hills to access international markets. While foods based on nutritious but neglected millets are finding their way to urban markets.
இது மாதிரி மில்கள் கொல்லி மில்லில் 2 மில்லு இருக்குது. கம்யூனிட்டி பேங்க் மூலியமாக வட்டி இல்லாத கடனாக கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. இது மூலியமாக எங்களுடைய மக்கள்லாம் முன்காலத்தில் அவங்கெல்லாம் குத்தி அரிசி சாப்பிட்டு இருந்தாங்க. அதன் மூலிமா இந்த மில்கள் வந்ததுடனே அந்த கஷ்டங்கள்லாம் போக்கி இப்போ வந்து எல்லா மக்களுக்கெல்லாம் வந்து இந்த மில்லிலிருந்து அரைச்சிட்டு போய் கொஞ்சம் ஆரோக்கியமாக இருக்காங்க.
Farmers are advised on techniques like integrated pest management, IPM, and intensive integrated farming systems, IIFS, and efficient management of land and water resources in different soil types. Communities, wherever they are, need to access information and use communication for sustaining their livelihoods. The Rural Knowledge Centers, RKC, provide access to information and aim at bridging the digital divide. These centers provide location-specific and timely information to aid agriculture and marine-based livelihoods. Information relating to disaster management, early warning and extreme weather information using space technology on the principle of social inclusion.
முன்னையெல்லாம் வந்து எங்களுக்கு வெதர் வார்னிங் வந்து எனக்கு எந்த நேரம் வருதுன்னு சொல்ல முடியாது. ஆனால் இப்போ உடனுக்குடனே எங்களுக்கு கிடச்சி போகுது வெதர் வார்னிங்கு. முன்னெல்லாம் தொழிலுக்கு போயிட்ட பிறகு கிடைக்கும். அப்போ தொழிலுக்கு போயிட்ட பிறகு எப்போ வருவாங்களோ என்ன ஆகுமோன்னு பயந்துருந்தோம். இப்போ அப்படி கிடையாது. உடனுக்குடன் கிடைக்கிறதால எங்களுக்கு தொழிலுக்கு போகலாமா எல்லாம் முன்னே டிசைட் பண்ணிக்கிறோம்.
This is the origin of the Jamshedji Tata National Virtual Academy for Food Security and Rural Prosperity, VARP, which brings together experts and grassroots level people in a two-way multimedia communication mode. 100 grassroots academicians who have the passion and commitment for social and economic upliftment of the rural community have been inducted into the VARP. Presently, the VARP, in collaboration with several partners, is in the process of extending the benefits of information and communication technology, ICT, to all 600,000 villages in India by 2007. The Every Child a Scientist program imparts key scientific concepts through interactive methods using computers to economically and socially marginalized school children in Chennai, Kerala and Orissa. Another unique endeavor to enrich visually impaired children is the Touch and Smell Garden, housing over 65 species of aromatic, medicinal and other plants with sensible differences in leaf texture and aroma. Recently, the Genome Clubs are being set up to train a cadre of young men and women with functional knowledge on genetics and legislation pertaining to biodiversity and farmers' rights. Equity in gender and other social dimensions has been a cross-cutting theme of the foundation, spreading consciousness across the staff and leading to action in the field. A gender-sensitive agricultural curriculum for agriculture students, the future policymakers, has been developed. The Women Theatre Unit, Voicing Silence, is a unique attempt to use theatre as a tool for empowerment through workshops, seminars, interactive festivals and plays to address issues in gender equity and women's development and leading to advocacy and awareness creation. Spread the message of hope of achieving freedom from hunger. 3 atlases, Food Insecurity Atlas of Rural India, of Urban India, and Sustainability of Food Security have been researched and published, offering a unique planning tool for policymakers in India and elsewhere. Key activities of the Foundation are documented by the Hindu Media Resource Centre, THMRC, for the purpose of dissemination. In the last 3 years, 35 professional quality video films have been produced. Public lectures and media workshops are organized regularly on emerging issues in science and sustainable development to create an informed public opinion. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. We have already taken 15 steps and will steadfastly continue to move on towards our goal.